Welcome back to Light Code Tutorials. This is our third video in this Django beginner series. So in the previous tutorial, we created our first Django app and we created a simple view. Now in this tutorial, we're going to dive into one of the most important parts of Django, which is the database models. I'm Light and let's get started. Now, what does a Django model mean? What does a model mean in Django? So in Django, a model is a class that represents a table in the database. Each attribute of class represents a column in the table. Models allows you to define the structure of your data, and Django takes care of the database interactions for you. So we use Python code in the form of a class to define our Django models, and then store that model into our database, and then we can interact with those models using the Python API that was provided for us. We're going to see that as we move forward. Now, before we begin to create our database models, there was something we need to do. I'm going to pull up my terminal here, and let us run our server again. Great, our server is running. Now I want to address the issue, or I want to address this issue of this word text here. Django is telling us that we have 18 unapplied migrations. Our project may not work properly until you apply the migrations for apps, admin, auth, content types, or session. So what is Django telling us here? It means that there are unapplied database migration in our Django application, which include this admin, authentication, content type, and session. Now these changes or these applications here can be found in our settings.py file in our project directory, which are these here. The admin, the authentication, content types, and session. So we need to make migration to the database. We need to add all these applications to the database. By doing so, we'll get rid of this information here. So let us do that. I'm going to stop the server by hitting Ctrl C here, and our server is stopped. And for us to migrate those applications to our database, we use the command python manage.py migrate. As you can see, our migration has been done. Then when we run the server again, you can see the error is gone. Now we can move forward. So this migrate command, python manage.py migrate command, updates our database schema according to the migration defined for each app. Now let us create our first Django model. I'm gonna quit the server, and then let me put down this terminal. For us to create our first Django models, we have to move into our new app directory in the models.py file. This is where we're going to create our Django models. So we're going to create a simple model called developers. This is a simple model that's going to have the name, the first name, last name, and the roles of different developers. So models.model, and I'm going to create the attributes of these models, the different fields of this developer's model. I'm going to use first name, which is equal to models dot character field. We're going to give it a value of max length, which is, let's say, 100. I'm going to say last name equals models dot the same child field, which is character field, a max length of 100 also, and then a row models dot character field, say 50. Now this is how you define a database model or a model in Django. It's a class. We create a custom class called developers, which inherits from the model class that comes with Django. And now these are the fields that belongs to the developer class. We have a first name, which is going to take in a string of characters. That is why it's a character field. The same with the last name and also the row. Now all these are character fields, they are the same fields. I want to make a change. Let me add a date field here and then remove this last name, so you can see a different kind of field. So we'll keep the row, then we'll add a date field. I'll call it created at, which is equal to models dot date field, and the value of also now add, which is true. Now I just created a date field. Since we have two characters field here, this is going to be a date field. It's going to hold the date and the time when a developer or an object is created. So we have a first name, we have a role, which could be a back end, front end, just like that. And they created that field that holds the time and date when the developer is created. So this is how we can create just a simple model in Django. Now for us to add this model to our database, we have to run the migration command. The first migration command we're going to use is this. On your terminal, you type in python manage.py make migrations. Now what does this command do? This command creates a new migration file that is based on the changes that you've made to these your models here. This command does not affect the database directly, but rather it just creates a migration file that describes the kind of changes that was made. So any changes that you made on these your models here, the migration command is going to create a file for it that describes the type of changes that was made. So we click on enter. As you can see, it created the model developers, which is this model we just created here. Now for us to put this model into the database, we have to run this other command, python manage.py migrate. This is the command that applies the migrations to our database, so it synchronizes our database schema with the correct set of models that we have. So whatever is here is going to be in our database. So we click on enter, and I think I made a spelling error. Yes, I always misspell Python, Pyt, Python manage.py migrate. So all our migrations has been done. These models now are now saved into our database. Cool. So let's move forward. Now we want to see our database or the data that we just created. How do we do that? Now we're going to use what we call the admin interface. This is an interface that comes with Django, which enables us to see the data that we created and also manipulate those data. We can add a new data, we can delete any data, we can also edit that data, which is the CRUD operation, CRUD, the CRUD operation, that is what it's called. So this admin page is just like your graphic user interface where you interact easily with data visually with the buttons and other widgets. So it's easier to manipulate your data using this admin interface. It's a very powerful feature and a very important feature that comes with Django. For us to do that, I'm gonna clear my terminal to clean up everything here. Great. For us to create that admin interface, we have to create our login credentials to log into the admin interface. So use the command Python what's wrong with me? Python manage.py create super user. Now this command is just gonna create like a form. Just gonna create our credentials for us. We're gonna fill in our credentials for us. Click on enter. You can see say username, leave blank to use light. So I'm gonna click on enter. So you're gonna use this default name here, but you can use any name you choose. My email address, I don't really need to use my email address, so I'm gonna skip this option by clicking on enter, and then it's gonna ask for a password. So I'm gonna type in a password. Note that as you are typing the password, it will not be visible on the terminal just for security reasons, but your password is actually being typed here. So you click on enter, it's gonna ask for that password again. So the same thing, it's not gonna show visibly, but it's really typing there. So click on enter. Well, they're telling me the password is too similar to the username. The password is too short, it must contain at least 8 characters. Bypass password validation and create user anyway. So I'm not gonna change all these things, I'm just gonna leave it like that. So I'm gonna click on Y, which is yes to bypass all this validation. And then our super user has been created successfully. Great. So now we have created a super user. We can log into our admin page and view the admin interface. So I'm gonna run the server again. Okay, and then I'm gonna move into this our URL here. Now this time this admin here. Now you'll be greeted with this page here. So this is the username I created, light, and the password. Put in your password there that you created through the terminal and log in. Good. Now this is the interface you see, the admin interface that comes with Django. With this interface, we can actually do a lot of stuff, a lot of administrative stuff here. So as you created your super user account, you are now an administrator and you have control over all the data and operations in your application. So awesome. Now we are not seeing our models that we created, the developer model we created. We have to see it in this admin page so we can interact with it, we can manipulate it, we can add more developers or delete or edit developers, code operation per se. So for us to do that, we go back to Visual Studio Code, and I'll bring down this terminal here. And then we have to register this model we created, this developer model. How do we do that? We do that by moving to the admin.py file here. Good. And then we import our models from .model models import developers, which is the model we created before. So we're importing it from our models.py file here. So finally, let us register this developer model by saying admin .site .register developers. Great, so we have registered our developer model, and now we can see it in the admin interface. Go back to your interface, refresh your page, and you can see the developer model here. Great. Try to zoom in here. So this is our developer model here. So click on it, and then we see we have 0 developers because we have not created a developer yet. So for us to do so, you click on this button here that says add developers, and you can see that field that we created, the first name and the row. Although we also created a date field, but this date field is going to be automatically generated for us by Django. So let's fill in the name, first name. I'll say light, row, backend. Either you save, when you save it, it will take you to the home page. If you click on save and add another, it's going to save and we submit the form for you to add more persons. If you click on save and continue editing, it's going to save and still give you the option to change whatever you type in. So I'm going to use save and add another, so I can add 2 more data. So save and add another. As you can see, the developers object 1 was successfully saved. So I'm gonna add Lucas row front end. I'm gonna add Jane DevOps and save. Great, now we can see our data has been saved, and surprisingly this is the data that has been saved: developers object 3, developers object 2, developers object 1. Now this does not make sense to us. We don't understand what this is trying to say, but is this our data that we created? Now I want to put this in a format that is going to be understandable to us humans, which is going to be human readable. So for us to change this developers objects and whatever number it is to a more readable form, we go back to our code here, back to the models.py file, and then we're going to create a simple function, a string function, call it string underscore str, and pass it a self parameter on it, and then we're going to return first name, this first name here. We're going to return this first name here. So return self dot first name, self dot first name. Good. After doing so, we go back to the admin page and we refresh it. As you can see, the name of the developers are shown, which is very much readable and more understandable to us. We have Light, Lucas, and Jane. So you can add in, if you want to use the developer's name, you can also use the role by saying self.role. Then refresh the page and you can see the roles are being changed to DevOps, front end, and back end. So this is where we're gonna stop for today's video. We've created a simple database model called developers. We added it to the admin interface and we created a few developers, as you can see here, which is cool. So in the next video, we're going to dive into templates and see how we can send this data that we created here to the user in a friendly way, so the user can see and interact with this data. That's what we're going to do in the next video. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it, to subscribe to it, and you hit the notification bell so you can stay updated. Once again, thank you for watching and chase your dreams.